What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to my channel, Your Soul's Passion Consultant. I'm doing another video, part two, on pregnant on purpose. So just a little bit more about what I intend to cover in this series is my journey to fertility of getting pregnant on purpose. I do realize a lot of people are able to get pregnant without trying, but I am out here getting pregnant on purpose. So as I continue these videos, I'll develop that more and you'll understand more and more where I'm coming from by this being a part of my purpose, a part of my passion. So here I am again, part two, and I believe I left off with starting our journey to the medical route of becoming pregnant. So those appointments, those doctor visits, were something I guess I really wasn't prepared for, but at the same time, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just knew my husband and I had gotten to a point where, okay, well, let's try something. Let's get help outside, of what we've been doing ourselves. So, went to the doctor's appointment. Um, told them about my history. Of course, they had a lot of my history already on file. And the first thing that they start you off with is basically Clomid, which is a hormone that is supposed to stimulate ovulation so that you're able to get pregnant. They tell you not to be on the medication more than 6 months at a time. And they tell you that it's supposed to promote ovulation. So basically, every month I will go to the doctor visit so they can let me know if I ovulated the previous month, so that to see if pretty much the medication is working. So very uncomfortable doctor visits every month. Um, and the reason why they're putting me on this is because, along with metformin, is because of being pre-diabetic, being overweight, and basically the polycystic ovaries, shutting my reproductive system down, which later I learned is due to trauma, but we'll talk about that, in the future videos. So it's stimulating ovulation, it's stimulating regulation of my blood sugar with the metformin. So to hopes of, grading my chances of getting pregnant. So again, those doctor visits were treacherous because the visits were when I was on my period. Is basically being examined while on your period. And for me, that was very uncomfortable. Most of us, we already know that time of the month, we already kind of feeling uncomfortable, wanting to be to ourselves, rather be at home versus up and out, let alone in a doctor's office, being examined during that time of the month. So that left me feeling it played on my mental really hard every month. Those visits already would going for pap smears are already uncomfortable for me. And to have to go while on my cycle, it just takes it to the next level of uncomfortability. Very emotional. I was doing the appointments by myself because at the time my husband was working, and these were very routine. So it was understood to just, go by myself, but it did not take away of the feelings I kept having of being just lonely and asking myself, why do I have to go through this? Why does everything have to be so hard? What did I do wrong to deserve having to go through this? So those feelings would come up during those doctor visits, and it made situations at home difficult as well, because you're tracking ovulation, you're taking the test every month to see when you're ovulating, and it's a very stressful time. So it's almost like you're setting up yourself to really not get pregnant because everything is centered around getting pregnant, which means you're devoting so much energy of that to where you kind of can't relax and let things naturally flow to get pregnant. So that's a lesson learned way after this whole process. But knowing that focusing so hard on something, overly doing it, and that's what I was doing in my case, over obsessing about it. That's the only thing I could think of. It's the only reason why I want to have sex is just to be able to get pregnant. So again, very imbalanced. weighing one way on a situation more than the other, and not living a holistic life in regards to taking this route, to getting pregnant. So we went full 6 months of that. Again, very uncomfortable for myself, very uncomfortable for my husband, but we got through it. Toward the last month, really the last probably 4, 5, 6 months, so the last half the process, the effects that medication Clomid had on me were not good. Definitely a lot of highs and lows, which is probably why I was very emotional at the actual doctor's appointments. Not to mention, that you know it's I'm already on my cycle, which is going to make you more emotional anyway. So very emotional. We'll wake up, was really bad. I never really told my husband about this until later, but I would wake up and my eyes would be like almost blinded. The medication would cause me to have really extreme watery eyes, and then it would cause me to like the crust that would build up throughout the night would make it hard for me to open my eyes. When I finally would open my eyes, it would be very blurry. So I was like, okay, this medicine is not good. And they said that was one of the side effects. And sure enough, you know, I did feel that. And again, my mental, the way I engage with people at work, it just wasn't me. I wasn't pleasant to myself, and I am pretty sure I wasn't pleasant to others. So it broke my heart that at the end of 6 months, nothing happened for us. When I went to my initial doctor's appointment and sat in there with my husband, um, you know, I can remember giving my confidence over to the doctor and putting my fertility in his hands. I remember like trusting that he was going to help me, like looking at him as, the cure for all of this. I remember even joking around with him, just, that's because that's my personality. He, at the time, I worked for a major car company, and it was a luxury car company. And so he said, "Oh, you work for, so and so?" And I said, yes, I do. He was like, "So, what's the deals on the cars there?" And I said, "Well, if you get me pregnant, we'll talk about a deal." So again, just a lot of pressure, a lot of, and I'm joking around, but still, just a lot of pressure and putting a lot of faith in his hands, like to make this work. Um, After that appointment, I had again several other appointments because I had to keep going every month, doing my cycle. And I think by this, maybe the first month, talking to the nurse, because by then you're no longer seeing the doctor, you're just seeing the nurse, or a practitioner, nurse practitioner thereafter. And they're doing the exams, looking at my chart, asking a few questions. And I remember that the nurse practitioner saying, "Are you on metformin?" And at this time, I wasn't. And so she's like, "Oh, no, you need to do this procedure with Clomid, the taking of Clomid along with metformin, like you need to take those together." And so I'm thinking to myself, they're playing with me. Like they're not really giving me, they're not doing a full workup. They're not taking my full situation into consideration before they prescribe something to me. So I'm like, why didn't the doctor say this? Like it's a known thing that I have been pre-diabetic. Why didn't the doctor suggest this? So at that time, I'm like, they're not really paying attention to me. I'm really feeling like a number. I feel like a file, a folder in a file cabinet. I'm not, they're not taking consideration of who I am and what I really need or don't need in order to get pregnant. So again, I let the whole 6 months play out. I went through the ups and downs, went through the uncomfortability in the relationship with my husband. And it was like, I remember like being at work, going through all of this, and pretty much knowing that this is it. This is, it's done, and doing it this way. And I heard the spirit say, "This is not the way you're going to do it. This is not the way you're going to do it." And at that point, I began to divorce the medical industry. I began to slowly but surely walk away from the medical industry. And it's an industry that we've all been a part of since we were born, because we're born into society that would, lead us toward what they would call Western medicine versus, Eastern medicine. We were born in hospitals, we were born with vaccinations soon after, and we were born into, going to a doctor to get medical help and attention. Versus if we consider how the ancients did it, they would have a big mama amongst the community and you would go to her for help, or a medicine woman, someone that they would call a medicine woman. And they would have their babies at home. It's so their medical journey started at home with someone who really knew them, who had the same genetic makeup as them or similar genetic makeup. It would start with someone where you had a connection to. So it's like I heard, like I said, very clearly in my knowing that this is not the way you're going to do it. And not knowing, but like I said, I began to divorce the medical industry, and little by little started to do research on um, living life in a holistic way, living a life in a natural way. And as I stated before, going back to the way the ancients did things, the way our grandparents, our great grandparents did things. So, so yeah, I'll begin to unfold more and more of that journey, because that has been, a journey, and it's been, maybe the smaller part of my journey, but the most impactful part of my journey, which is going the holistic route. So tune in for part 3 to learn more about that. And I'm really excited for this platform. I'm really excited to be able to come here to verbalize my journal, verbalize my feelings and my thoughts that I've been holding in, and being able to share it with you guys. And again, ultimately to help someone out there, to help a couple, to help someone be able to comfort their heart, to get them to the next level in regards to conceiving their actual baby and conceiving what you would consider their passion or their mission here in life. So again, thanks again. This video has been fun. It's been healing. And until next time.